Hi and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be taking you on an early April garden tour. The first thing I want to show you is Acer palmatum, and this is a Japanese maple called Phoenix. It's absolutely stunning. If you look at that, when we first got it, it was quite cheap really. It was only a matter of a few pounds. It was very low, it was about this high, and in the past couple of years it's grown, it's getting bigger. Eventually this is going to create a really amazing tree, absolutely stunning. A bit like the tree in next door but one's garden, it will eventually grow just like that. That's a different variety, but it'll be a beautiful tree. And remember, Acer palmatum, they're fantastic for autumn foliage, those lovely oranges, deep reds and pinks as the season progresses. Okay, so the next one I want to show you is Primula denticulata. Now, in one of our previous houses, the cottage garden in Sheffield, we absolutely had hundreds of primulas. We really did, different varieties of primula, and denticulata is so beautiful. I like it, the fact that it grows really tall, and there's these like pom-pom heads filled with various coloured flowers. And this one is pink, and it's just lovely. Remember, these primulas like damp conditions, and that's why it's probably suited closer to the house, because the further down the end of our garden we go, the sunnier it gets and the drier it gets. Although we do have lots of primulas on the left hand side of the garden which are doing really well, but we keep those well watered during the summer months. But this is fantastic, absolutely loves it here, and it's such a pleasure to see these flowers. Very cheery from the kitchen window as well, because the kitchen window's just that way, and it's just nice to look out and see that pop of colour at this time of year. You know, it's early April, plants are emerging, some things, some of the bulbs are coming to an end, or have come to an end, and it's just nice to have these pops of colour in the garden while everything else, like our geraniums, are just coming up. Now, from this primula to another one, I'm going to take you to the Rockery. Follow me. Now, this primula is a very well-known one, Primula vulgaris, and what a fantastic sight to see. It's cheery, it's yellow, and it just works so well. But on a sunny day like today, it just makes you feel so happy. It does me anyway. And what I like about this is that it is self-seeded everywhere, so we've got tons of babies coming through. So many little plants here for our money, and they can be, some of them left where they are, some of them will be taken out when they grow a little bit bigger, potted on and moved to other places in the garden. We could include a few more in this area around, because I think it's really happy here, and clearly it likes the conditions. And that's the thing about gardening, plants will tell you where they like to be. If you put a plant in and you water it well, you keep it well watered, it's in what you think is the right place, but all of a sudden it just dies off, then you replace it with the same plant and it keeps dying off. It's trying to tell you something. The plant's saying, I'm not happy here, put me somewhere else or I'm going to die. Literally, that's what happens. So, but I just love all these babies there. That is amazing. Now, on to this container, because as I'm sat looking at the primulas, I can smell this delicious scent, and from not only the narcissus, which is a variety called Cragford, and I just love the yellow petals with the very deep golden yellowy orange centers. They are beautiful, just look at that. And the scent from these flowers are absolutely, it's out of this world, honestly. And you've got the hyacinths as well, Gypsy Queen. Now, hyacinths are fantastic for garden scent. If you love scent, get some hyacinth bulbs into your garden, because you will not be disappointed with them. But daffodils as well, narcissi, they just have so much scent. People do not realise, they think, oh, daffodils, they're not very scented. These are so scented, honestly. I can smell the hyacinths, but I also smell the narcissus as well. I can smell the two scents, the two very different scents, and I can smell them from here. I just love them. That is just intoxicating from both. Hyacinths, very heavy scent. This scent's much lighter to me, but I love that. And look how they blend well in the container. You know, anybody can do this. You know, if you've got an old container, it can be a wooden container, metal container like this, you know, just fill it up, get your bulbs in the autumn. You're prepared, you're ready for this time of year now, when the display comes about, and you are just spoiled with a variety of colour and scent as well. You know, it's just amazing. I just love it. I am just in awe. You know, sometimes, I mean, over the last few days I've been out in the garden and I'm walking back into past here and I'm enjoying the scent, but I've not really looked and appreciated the look of this. And I think it looks great being here on the Rockery as well, just placed where it is. It's pride of place. It's there, it's happy, it's doing its thing. I've also just realised some Primula vulgaris as well in the pot there. So Paul's obviously done that one, but that's amazing. I like that as well. I like that, the way that that's next to it. But I just love this, and I think you can do this with any old containers that you've got. Also, notice this as well. There's lots of moss been placed around, and lots of that seems to be doing well as well. So that's lovely. It's a nice finishing touch. It just hides the soil. So instead of having bare soil there and we've got our bulbs in, it just makes it look a bit more professional. It's lovely. Right, now onto the tree. Now, as you remember, this was planted in memory of our cat son, Ben the Bengal, so Benny the Bengal, and it's doing so well. It's massive now. It's grown so much last season. There's lots more growth on it here. It is Prunus nigra. Prunus nigra. I really recommend this to people. The flowers, they're very different to so many of the Prunus trees that we see, you know, in gardens and in streets around. I mean, certainly there's some in a street just around the corner from us that have been there all of our lives, and they're very beautiful, deep pink. These flowers, when they're out, so obviously they've gone over, they're a lovely sort of like a pinky white. There's pink tinges in there. To me, they look quite white, but there is pink in there. They are pinky white, and I just think that they are it's subtle compared to other varieties of Prunus, which, you know, you have the beautiful pink blossom or white blossom. This is quite subtle, and you know, sometimes you'll stand under a Prunus tree with the blossom and the scent is just like, whoa, wow. This, it's not the case. This is grown. This was, to myself, when I first saw it, I thought of Ben and I thought of the lovely dark foliage. And it was for the foliage why it was bought. It's such a unique contrast as well in a garden where there's so much green, to include a tree like this as well. And obviously this tree can grow quite big ultimately, so, but it will be kept in shape, and that's the thing of it. With trees, they just require pruning. But a tree this size, there's no problems. We can let this rip for the minute. It's going to be a while before we need to do very much with it. We do need to keep doing something though, intermittently. We need to make sure every now and then that we test this tie, because we've got a stake in there, it's tied in. We do not want to strangle the tree. We do not want this tie cutting into the tree, but it's not doing. Look, it can move up and down quite safely, and the bark underneath isn't affected by it. We keep an eye on this and we just slacken it when the tree grows bigger. But this is just such a wonderful tree for foliage. Just look at that. That is amazing. Now on to the next one. Rosa Sweet Honey. She's been pruned by Paul. That's looking good. I'm very happy in this area here. What I do like is the way that the sedum's coming through. This is sedum matrona, and later on in the year this is going to look amazing with lots of lovely flowers on. Again, adored by bees and butterflies especially. But matrona, we really like this variety. It's tried and tested. You know, we've grown it for quite a while and we love it. My cheeky poppy's coming up there. Rosa Super Dorothy, climbing rose. Again, not very strong scented, but that is doing so well. When you look at our past videos, started off very small. Look at the way it's been trained. This year, I'm hoping that it goes over the wall, because that will be so nice to see. Geranium's coming up. Look at this, can't wait for it to flower. This is a pink geranium. Our Rebecca's coming through. So everything at this time of year, that's the thing. So let me sit down for a minute. That's the thing. It's that time of year where you think, oh, we're into April now. You know, surely there's so much more going to be flowering. No, we're just waiting until the end of April, May. And then all of a sudden, the whole garden bursts into action. And certainly a lot of the plants that we like come into their own. And that's it. It's worth the wait, honestly. You're waiting through the winter months, through the spring, but then all of a sudden things change and all this emerging new growth. I mean, this is Mrs. Kendall Clark. Now, Mrs. Kendall Clark is quite tall, beautiful blue flowers on it. She's a very strong, veiny geranium. She has quite thick stems on her. But when it gets to the summer, this is just going to be inspiring. This border, if you can remember, for the new members or new people watching our videos, you're not going to know what it looks like. If you go back over some of the other videos, you'll see what this border looks like. And with the Rebecca here, beautiful yellow flowers, I mean, it's going to be stunning. We've got Persicaria and Plexicalis over here as well, and that one has the most beautiful, lovely spires, these lovely red plumes, lovely red flowers. This is a bit of a thug, so if you left it, this could quite happily take over this whole space. It's not going to, but it will come forward. I know that Paul's taken some away here because he's planted the Nepeta, and this is a Nepeta variety called Walker's Low. And hopefully this summer it's going to be filled with amazing blue flowers, and hopefully the cats will not flatten it, because it's called catmint for a reason. The cats love it. It's like a drug to them. They just love to roll around in it. But hopefully by summer this will have created a nice low growing plant. Really hoping that that happens. Our Aster, Cordifolius, Little Carlo at the back there, again quite tall. It's called Little Carlo, but it's very, very tall. Lots of blue flowers later on in the year, later on in the summer, I should say. The Lichnis coronaria, Paul had to replace this because we literally lost it, but it's doing really well. I'm very happy with it. Got some more Persicaria at the back, the bluebells under the Magnolia there, and look at the Magnolia. These are a must for any garden. You know, if you've got space for a tree, plant this. You know, it predates the bees, so it's not pollinated by bees. You know, most of our trees and you know, they get pollinated by bees. This is pollinated by insects. This has been around in the world a very, very long time, long before bees existed. So not this particular tree, obviously, but magnolias themselves, and they are beautiful. If you just look at the contrast, the flowers are going over now, starting to go over, and we're getting our foliage, but just look between our tree and next door's tree, the beautiful combination of the two. And you know, if you were here a few weeks ago, you would have loved it. It looked amazing. You just looked out the windows and your eye bounces from one tree to the next tree and back. So that was lovely. That is so nice. We've got more geranium coming through here, and Paul cut back our Stipa tenuissima because it was starting to look really untidy. Now the thing is with Stipa tenuissima, it looks great and you can just run your hands through it. It was all coming over here. You could run your hands through and just pull out all the dead bits. The problem is it gets to the point where I think it looks better if you do this, if you just cut it back, let it rip, let it come back, let it do its thing, let it flower, and eventually this whole area will just be covered in Stipa tenuissima on, if you remember, both sides. So we have that entrance way to the summer house, but you've got Stipa tenuissima there, Stipa tenuissima here. We've got the Virginia here, and I like this one, I like this variety. It's a really, really nice one. I can't remember the variety. Let's have a look. So, Rosie Klaus. I like that one. I do like this. I also like the white ones as well. You can see, if you go out to the garden centres, plant nurseries, you can see lots of white varieties of Virginia, and I just really do like it. I think it's fantastic. We've got Phlox paniculata, David coming up there, and David has the most gorgeous white flowers on, and very heavily scented. I do like phlox in the garden. We've got helenium growing in a pot there. I'd love to see that helenium in the garden, but we'll see what happens. Our tulips are coming through. Look at these beauties. They're coming through. And the reason that we have holly sticking out is because, yes, it's pushed into the soil. They probably will root, actually. They'll probably actually root. We'll get some roots on these and be able to plant it in other parts of the garden, certainly in the hedging part along this side. That'd be interesting. We might do that, actually. But the reason why it's there is it stops our resident squirrel, or squirrels, I think there's 2 or 3 of them, but there's mainly one, really loves this garden. He spends all his time in here, and it stops him from digging out bulbs, because he goes to this bit and he thinks, thorns, I'm not going to go near that. It works sometimes, sometimes it doesn't work, it depends. It's worked in this case because look at these bulbs, they're very happy. I want to show you as well the alpine strawberries. Now, the alpine strawberries, Paul did a video about quite recently, and they're doing well. They've been split, they've been, you know, they're starting to flower. So yeah, they're in a bit of shock at the minute. They're thinking, oh, we've been split, we've been moved, but they will be so happy, and they're going to provide us with little fruits during the summer. The fruits are very different to regular strawberries, right? So they do taste different, but they're nice. I think they're really lovely, and they're wild. Do you know what I mean? They're different. You know, we can walk around the garden and just pull these off and eat them as well, just as you do our regular strawberries. So that's great. Now, over the back here, lots of geranium. We did plant some viburnum tinus along, just as hedging really, because the fence is very rickety. It does need replacing, but it's there. It's happy. It's going to last for a few more years, so it doesn't need messing with. But we planted some viburnum tinus. It's not doing very well. I do think we're going to go back and rethink this, because they should have grown a lot more than what they have. It's a very shady area. It needs rethinking. Buddleia is happy. I did a buddleia video recently. If you refer back to that, you see how to prune a buddleia. And that is already, I think, much happier. That is starting to come back. That seems happy there. The conifer's great because it just acts as a screen. It's nice to have conifers and things like that in the garden. You don't want all your garden deciduous, and well, I don't want all the garden deciduous. I like to see, not to be able to see through things. I like some shade coming into the garden as well. We've got, what else is going on down here? Oh, Ligualaria. Now, Ligualaria, look at this beauty. And this is Ligualaria Przewalski. That's as close as I'm going to get to that. I'm not even going to try and say it, but it's a favourite. The cameraman's laughing. Right, so we have grown this for years and years. This is a damp lover, okay? Ligualaria likes it wet, okay? So it needs the damp. What we do is we make sure it's well watered. This is a plant where if you had that in full sun, and it is really in full sun, apart from the fact that the fuchsia Magellanica shelters it. Once this grows bigger up here, as the sun goes around and swings around to where the pub is over there, it literally shelters it. So it is getting some shelter, okay? But it doesn't stop it from drying out. We have to water it regularly. If you go away, you put that in a sunny position, you're going to come back to it sulking or even dead at times. I know in Sheffield, in our cottage garden, we literally had to keep it well watered. Went away anyway and come back and hadn't watered it. It was like, not happy, about to die kind of thing. So yeah. We have over here the Phlox Spatsuma as well. Lovely variety, Spatsuma, and it just does its thing. It provides us with the scent at this side of the garden as well. The bluebells, yes, they are quite invasive, but they're beautiful. They're coming through. They're going to provide us with lots of flowers. I like, just over here for a second, I like this cheeky one here, this white one that comes through. It never fails to excite me, this one, when it comes through, because it's lovely white bluebell. Now, back to here, moving the Kerria japonica creeping through from behind where the buddleia is there. You can see that coming through. That Kerry is lovely. There are a few varieties of this. This is a double variety, isn't it? This one's quite, but it's still nice. Can be quite invasive. If you leave that in your garden, that can literally take over. So you need to thin it out as well. The Crocosmia. This is Babylon. It's nice to see that coming through. And our primula, going back to primulas again, Bulliana. I'm sorry, I want to be looking at you. And I am just in awe, just seeing all these wonderful sights, all these plants coming through the ground. I'm thinking of winter when there was just nothing and everything looked dead and it was all there. There was just stems, plants that had decayed and, you know, have gone to sleep. Other plants, other shrubs with just these stems that there was nothing there. And now look at this. Yeah, Babylon's a fantastic variety. Lovely, lovely Crocosmia, that one. Really like that one. And it's nice to have our lady's mantle here. It's known as lady's mantle. Ah, if you look as well, have a look at the raindrop. There's some dew in there, look. Look at this, like jewel-like. It's beautiful on a rainy day. And this likes to spread everywhere as well. Self-seeds prolifically. Lovely acid green flowers and a fantastic plant. If you've not grown it before, it's so reliable, it's lovely. And eventually these leaves will be quite big. And in theory it will self-seed. I'm noticing this, look. Lots of primulas have self-seeded along here, which is fantastic. But this Primula Bulliana, you cannot beat. Love it. If you don't know that plant, look it up, you're going to love it. Ah, there's Primula Vulgaris creeping through here as well. Little Primula Vulgaris. That's a nice one. Again, Viburnum tinus, just not doing great. They were meant to just grow so high. They're just not doing very much, so we might rethink that. I want to go over. Oh, fantastic. Wow, look at this. Look at this. So this is Geranium mycorrhizum, and this is the first geranium in our garden to actually flower. It's one of the early ones, early varieties. By summer this has gone over and it's just all foliage, it's just nothing there. But spring, it comes into its own. It loves the conditions here, hiding in the rocks. Look at that, the way it's growing into the rocks themselves. It just loves it. It wants to spill over. It doesn't want to be in here. It wants to spill over into the rocks. We do have more of it over in the other border here. And it's happy in the border, but again, it's trying to clamber down into the rocks. I need to get some of this grass out. But yeah, it's trying to clamber down. It likes to spread. It loves rocky conditions. More Primula Vulgaris here. Our Freetinia, doing really, really well. Look at that. Look at the gorgeous red foliage. It's a fantastic shrub. For any of you that have been following us for a long time, oh, look at the ladybird on there as well. Come and look at this. So ladybird's happy on there. He's very, very happy. Now, this was a massive shrub. It was beautiful. It had a lovely, almost like a pillow box at the front where the birds used to come in and out. Now, they still love it. They still clamber inside and jump through it, so they're still happy. The reason we reduced it is to let more light through and make the garden more spacious, and it worked. It did its thing. Now the thing is with this, what we can do when these red leaves begin to turn green, which they will do, it will be cut back again just slightly, so just to there, just give it a prune back. Then again the red foliage will emerge, and from that we get this lovely looking shrub, and that's the way to keep it rejuvenated, keep it looking good. Our geranium, one of my favorite geraniums, I think this is actually my favorite, I will say. In Sheffield, we had a lot of geraniums. I used to collect them. I loved them. That's my passion. Was my passion. Splish Splash, also known as Painter's Palette as well. Some of you might know it as Painter's Palette or Splish Splash. Okay, this has beautiful blue with white. The flowers are blue with white. It literally is like a painter's palette or like a splash. Hence the reason Splish Splash. When that's out, that is just stunning. It's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to that becoming much bigger this year because it was only planted here last year. So I'm looking forward to the changes this year and seeing the flowers out on this, and it will remind me of lots of happy times with our geraniums in the other garden. But let me see where we're going with this. Ignore all this. This has had a really good prune. This is, I'm not sure what the variety is. It's grown as a tree. It's beautiful. It does its thing. I know it's slanted, I know it's a little bit rickety, but it's happy, it loves it, it's going to grow back. It's had a really good prune. There were actually buds emerging on this, and it just needed a prune. It was tall, it was coming over the garden, it was going that way. It's not good. It needed one good prune now, and then by this summer it will have begun to take shape again, and the foliage will just cover, and it will probably grow to about here, which is the height it should be. We don't want a fortress, we don't want to be blocking everything out. That's not good. But that will look amazing come summertime. That'll be wonderful. I will show you on the next tour, well, on the summer tour, okay? There'll be tours before then, don't worry. Almeria, or thrift as it's known. This is a pink variety. That's going to be amazing. The dead bits there where it's died, I'll just pull those bits out and it will spread again. But look how it spread already. It was started off as one small clump and it spreads like mad. This was the one that I used to have in Mum and Dad's garden, and when I was 8 years old I used to split it into pieces and sell it to old ladies in the back of my mum's house, just for pocket money really, just for money to buy other plants really. So it's quite a, so I always had that business thing about me. So strawberries in there, we'll take good care of them, we'll keep them nourished. And our ericeums, look at that, flowers on already. I'm loving it, and the flowers of these are so scented. They fill this area filled with scent. We've got aqualegias coming through. We've got phlox spatsoma, again, small piece there, piece there, piece there, piece there. We've tried the repetition piece at the end, that repetition of the phlox. This border looks lovely. As time goes on, as this month progresses, you look at it now, it's going to be fed as well. There's going to be, you know, compost going down. It's going to be mulched and looked after. But let me tell you something. When this border comes out, it's the best border for so long. At the minute you look at it and you think, oh, that looks a mess. I'm telling you now, in a month and a half, you will not be saying that. You'll be thinking, wow. Honestly, you will be impressed with it. We've got a steeper tenuissima running through. We've noticed that we've lost some of our salvias. They've died, they've perished. The reason? We've had a lot of rain. Most of the country's had a lot of rain, apart from the drier areas, and even the drier areas have probably had a lot as well, I'm not sure. But here we've had a lot of rain. The ground is damp constantly, and so our salvias have not liked it. They have succumbed, they've died, okay? So, what do? We replace them. We get some more in the replace. Out with the old, in with the new, okay? That's how it works. We've got so many plants coming through. We've got our geraniums as well. So we've got Geranium Patricia and Geranium Brookside as well. And we've got that repetition going on with these geraniums. So Geranium Patricia, Geranium Brookside running through the border. Again, oh, the flowers, they're out. And that scent, if you've not grown ericeum before, or these are perennial wallflower, okay, so you know the wallflowers that we get that are annuals, well, these are perennials, so these come back year after year. You do have to take cuttings of these every year because you will lose some. Eventually they become big, they become leggy, they don't look good, they need replacing, you lose them. These have been replaced. So there's one at the end there, there's one in the middle, there's one here. This variety is Warburton's, so W-A-L, Warburton's Fragrant Sunshine, and this is an amazing variety for scent and for colour, that beautiful yellow. And don't forget, before the petals open as well, you've got a red tinge to the buds. The buds are red, and the back of the petals have red as well on the back, okay? Like a blush kind of reddy colour there. And they're really nice, but they fill this area full of scent, and that's what we want. Then later on, the phlox comes out, that does the same thing. On summer days, it fills this area of scent. I love this one. This is Rosa Superstar. Now, Paul pruned this. This rose has been in since the mid-60s. From what I'm told, the mid-1960s, this rose has been there, which is amazing. It's still going strong. Look at it. That is wonderful. They do last a long time. You know, there's so many people say, oh no, take them out after they're so many years old, a couple of decades old, start again. No, that rose, summer, you can't beat it. There's beautiful orange flowers. You cannot beat it. I'm loving all these aquiledias here, and these aquiledias are black barley, so they've all been grown on by Paul. So look at those, they're going to be fantastic as well. The most gorgeous black flowers. We've got lots going on over at the vegetable bed as well. Our garlic is doing fantastic. That's growing strong. I'm looking forward to harvesting this garlic when it becomes time for it. I'm looking forward to that because look at those stems. There's some fantastic garlic to be had, lots of wonderful recipes going on under there. Our chard's doing great as well, our Swiss chard. Always a winner in this garden. Swiss chard is always a winner. I'm looking around me constantly because I'm just seeing new things. This is campanula. This is a campanula variety. It's a blue one. I like the white one as well, but I love this blue. It reminds me of my mum's garden because she had lots of this in it. And it just spreads all over the place. I like the way it's trailing down the rocks there. Do absolutely love that. But this is one of my highlights, if not my highlight. Just seeing the narcissus and the beautiful hyacinth there like that and smelling that scent. It's amazing. Now, I think I've virtually shown you a lot of the things that I wanted to show you. Our GM Totally Tangerine, that's budding up already. We've got our buds there and our Totally Tangerine, so that's really nice to see. Lichnus chalcedonica is doing its thing, it's coming through. Remember, later on in the year, we're going to get, as the summer comes in, these tall plumes with lovely red flowers on the top, and the bees just love to rest on them and do their thing. But I am so happy with this. It's looking stunning. Everything's looking great. You know, it's getting to that time of year now. It's that anticipation phase. It's a time of anticipation. It's a time when you think, you know, is it ever going to happen? But you know it will happen. You know that the time's coming when the garden's just going to take over, and you know it's going to be the wow factor. You come outside, if you start off like this and you think, oh yeah, there's lots of lovely things about how wonderful, then one day you come outside and you think, wow. And you just want to freeze frame that moment in time when everything just looks superb. Anyway, thank you so much for following me on this early April garden tour. Lots more garden tours to follow, so don't worry. Thank you so much for watching. Any comments, drop them in the comments box below. Please remember to subscribe. It's totally free, okay? You don't have to pay to subscribe. So many people have said, oh, do I have to pay a fee? You don't pay anything. Also, remember to look into our shop as well, because there are lots of little useful items in there. So have a look in our shop and see if there's anything that you fancy buying. Thank you so much for watching. Please click the like button as well. Don't forget to do that. Make that your first thing. Click the like button, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Ambulance flying by there. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and we will definitely see you on the next one.